wonderful surprise for all of you. We have got lucky and found Malaika and her 2 boys. That's one of them. He's rolling about, possibly getting ready to start moving towards those Thompson's gazelle in the background. That would be nice. There's Mom in the middle, taking it easy, and the other brother is over there, in a kind of similar state to his brother, rolling around, looking a little bit anxious and ready to start the day. Now we are in a low signal area, which complicates the matter a little bit, but we can at least pivot around on this one spot to show you any action that does unfold here. They did make a kill yesterday morning at some point. I'm not too sure what it was. All I know is that one guide was not very impressed with his decision to leave her because he got a radio call a few minutes later saying she had got up and walloped something. Judging by their bellies, I don't think it was anything big. Possibly it was a young fawn, be it a Tommy or a Topi, hard to be certain, but they don't look to be too full-bellied, so I'm hopeful that at some point they might get up and go and look for their next meal. What's often the case is that the mothers often don't look as well fed as their boys, especially when the boys are of this size. They're bigger and stronger than their mothers and often can eat faster than their mothers. So, no different to Miali yesterday and her son, who was also quite full-bellied relative to his mom's state. Now that's what I'm hoping they head towards a little bit later on. I'm guessing that at the moment a lot of the predators are going to be specifically seeking out youngsters. So unless they see any youngsters within that herd, they may forego it and wait for a few other easier options. Hello Yana, you'd like to know if there's any recorded events of cheetah attacking humans in the past. Oh, there's some baby Topi, those will work well. And Yana, only in situations when the animals have been in captivity and or hand-reared. Those are the only times I've heard of cheetah attacks. I've never ever heard of a wild cheetah attacking anyone. So we've got nothing to worry about with them when on foot in the wilderness. Not like lion and leopard, they can prove a threat to us. Oh, well, interestingly, Steph's just come through and informed me that one of his friends, a very well-known and very well-qualified guide, Lee Gutteridge, was once attacked by a cheetah. And I look forward to hearing more about that, or I'm guessing you guys can possibly hear more of what happened from Steph. But that really is fascinating. I'd love to know the scenario which induced this cheetah to attack him. Did it have cubs? Was it just angry with him? Was it a male, female? Who knows? Hopefully Steph does. That's really interesting though, and it's highly unlikely and an uncommon event though. And I guess there's always exceptions to the rule in nature, and I guess Steph's story is one of those exceptions. Ah, playtime. Very good. I'm happy to see you with a spring in your step. Hopefully you can get your mother and brother moving just like you, and that way we could have a very, very entertaining morning to top off what's been an incredibly entertaining few days across on the side of the river, spending time almost entirely with cheetah. We've been hugely, hugely lucky, and this morning appears no difference. Now, even though he is a youngster, he can hunt for himself. He is reluctant to. They often let their mother do a lot of the work, but if they were to flash something like a scrub hare or small fawn, I think they will definitely get involved. Hello Michael, you'd like to know how much longer we could expect to see these 3 together. Well, I'd say probably a maximum of 4 months, because they are around 19 or 20 months old by now. I'm not sure exactly. And by 2 full years, it's unlikely that the mothers will tolerate their presence anymore. I'm told that is the maximum. They can depart home as soon as a year after being born, but that's very early, and then it can take as long as 2 years. So it's quite interesting how much it varies. Oh, are you going to go up the tree for us? Please attempt it. Come on. Nope. Someone gave it a bit of a fright there. He's definitely thinking about it, but it doesn't look like the ideal tree for an animal like a cheetah's ability to climb. They are not the best climbers. Where'd he go? Oh, he's in the bush. Oh, there he is. I was busy looking at his brother who had just sat up. Oh, it's wonderful to get this question. It's my favorite question to answer. Good morning, Tommy. Yes, this is 100% live. It's good to have you with us. My name's Scott, and stay tuned because if we're lucky, these cheetah may take us hunting a little bit later. It's always wonderful to hear that a new viewer has stumbled upon one of our safaris. Tommy, how did you stumble upon us? Let us know. Where in the world are you watching? You've got off to a very good start because to have cheetah on the screen is a good start. To have them moving about is even better. And to have 3 of them is just about as good as it gets. With lots of prey around them, we could get spoilt with seeing the fastest mammals on the planet doing their thing. Here you can see the other brother making his way towards the one that's attempting some tree climbing, and maybe that will increase the likelihood, the kind of natural competition of one wanting to outperform the other. Mom's just relaxing in the foreground. Beautiful. Now what we could also expect to see is these 2 boys to start chasing one another around. You can see the one on the right was kind of stalking the guy at the tree, and I've got a feeling they're going to take us on a little bit of a playful run around. Manu, get ready for action. Epic, epic scenes. Just looking around to make sure Mom hasn't spotted anything of interest behind us. It doesn't look like it. Here they go. That wasn't much, guys. You're better than that. And it seems like the sun is just managing to poke through the clouds ever so slightly. It's a bit diffused from some powdery clouds. These guys are definitely going to do something fun for us. It's just a matter of time. You can see they are awesome. I wonder if we can reverse a tiny bit. I just want to attempt to edge back a little bit so we don't have that tree in the way. A tiny bit. Hopefully we won't lose picture. That should do. Kind of, unless they keep going behind the tree. Not ideal. But let's just stay here because I've got a feeling they're going to go on the mad sprint soon. They've definitely got a playful streak about them, and being very quick animals, they often like to show off their speed, even if it is only to one another. Also very good practice, them chasing one another around, no different to chasing prey. good to see Mom's also doing some grooming. All good signs that they are possibly going to get up. From what I've noticed with these guys, this family, is that they enjoy sleeping in. They live a life of luxury in this beautiful place and usually get active during the hotter hours of the day. So I think Mano and I are going to have to camp out here a little bit longer than we expected to. We've still got about an hour and a half's drive to get back to camp from here. So I think we may have to just bunker down until these guys get going. Robert, you would like to know if these boys playing around will alert their prey to their presence. Yes, it could very, very well happen that way. It doesn't appear like the gazelles have spotted them yet though. But yes, it will certainly increase not only their chances of being spotted by prey, but also being spotted by any lions that may be in the area, which will pose a threat to cheetah, and they will take whatever opportunity they can to try and sneak up on them and nab them. We've had one or two close calls, nothing too serious, thankfully. It will be a terrible, terrible thing to have to witness a lion killing another predator. I've seen one get a hold of a wild dog before. Interestingly, the wild dog actually just feigned dead and lay limp in the lioness's mouth, and the lioness put her down, put the wild dog down, looked around, and the wild dog got up and ran off. Hello, Chitty Chatty Megs. You'd like to know if this female cheetah, Malaika, has ever tried to jump on the hood of our vehicle. And no, she hasn't even come close to considering it yet. And even if she did, as soon as I saw her get that little glint in her eye, I would definitely bang the car or deter her from doing that. Because as cool as it is, it's not right for us to allow the animals to get that close to us. So it is actually frowned upon in the Mara. The guides are supposed to not allow it to happen. Yet it does happen from time to time, and I'm actually told one of her daughters has picked up her mom's trait and also does it still to this day. So it's an interesting one, but I think it would be best if we didn't allow such things to happen. The animals need to have a bit of a natural fear and concern for us. It's in their own best interest more than ours. I often just wonder how they don't slip and hurt themselves or get their leg caught between the bull bar and the bonnet or the hood of the car. I mean, imagine that if you next thing you know, the cheetah slipped and it was stuck dangling off your car, because it's obviously not a smooth vehicle. It's not the perfect substrate for an animal like a cheetah to try and climb up. So those are my thoughts on that. Now, we are in the slight conundrum that if they in fact have a surge for these Thompson's gazelle that are behind them, we are not going to be in the right spot. So I think it's going to be important for us to try and shuffle around now to be able to get into a good position. Let me show you the Thompson's gazelle quickly. They're all moving in the background there to the left, just above and beyond the cheetah. So while we think about trying to reposition and get into another spot where we will be in a more favorable position if they do hunt, we are going to send you back to Steph on the bushwalk.
Well, if there's one person who can get you into the perfect spot for a cheetah hunt, it's Scott Dyson. I don't think there's anyone else out there that has as much cheetah hunting experience as him at the moment. What you're having a look at here is one of the first of the garden orb web spiders to come out this season, and she's obviously got herself a prime spot because she's already got breakfast, or if she had caught it last night, already got dinner, and she's wrapped it up in the silk and is busy feeding on it right now, and that is just going to give her the absolute boost that she needs to become as big as she can, as quickly as she can, and in the end she will be about the size of my palm. Now I'm going to put my hand behind her, so about the size of my palm will be where she ends up by the end of the season in 2 or 3 months time. But right now that is as big as what she is, and she's got looks like a fly that she's managed to catch there, and she's hanging upside down in that very characteristic X shape in the center of her web, and she's envenomated the prey. That would, apart from killing it, it would also liquefy the inside of that prey's body, and then she's busy sucking out sort of an insect or fly milkshake at the moment, and that is what she eats. This piece of white silk that you see just below her is called a stabilimentum, and apart from giving it the web itself some tensile strength, which allows it to catch a fast flying heavy insect, it also allows for the web itself to be more visible. Now, it's exactly how I've spotted her. As I walked past, this white zigzag piece of silk caught the sun, and I was able to see it. And of course, she's not showing me in particular, but she is showing things like kudu and hopefully impala and other antelope. Hey man, there's a web here. Don't come and get your face and your eyelashes all full of my sticky silk. Go and stick your face somewhere else and go and eat a leaf somewhere else. And that saves her the effort of having to rebuild her web every time an impala or a steenbok or a kudu comes past, or a giraffe for that matter, and sticks their face into this bush to eat some leaves. She's got some beautiful colors on her. Come and have a look around this side as well. On the back of her abdomen over here, she's got a lovely, lovely set of colors going on. And you can see that the backs of the spiders tend to be yellow and black, whereas the bottom or the ventral side of these spiders tend to be golds and yellows and blacks and reds. And you can see even the joints in her legs are shining a particularly shiny gold color. Very, very awesome. Sammy Jane, you'd like to know if this particular spider rebuilds her web every day? No, she won't rebuild her web every day, but she will basically, she will repair it every day. These orb spiders build fantastically complex webs, and using many, many different kinds of silk. And so to rebuild it every day would be a fairly costly exercise for these types of spiders. So she does sort of running repairs on her web, and as she gets bigger, so too will the web get bigger, because she will need to eat larger and larger prey, and so the web would need to get bigger and bigger to give it the strength needed to catch larger and larger prey as well. And so she will do running repairs in it. I suppose you could say in a way she'd build it every day, but not in the sense I'm imagining that you're asking. There are other spiders out here. The bark spiders in particular come to mind. They will eat their web every morning. They then spend the day underneath a piece of bark or on the side of a tree trunk, hiding out and digesting their food from the night before, and then at night time come and respin their web in a different place. And they will do that every single day. And so yeah, not this particular spider though. Alright, we're going to be sending you over to Noel, who's got some dwarf mongoose to show you.
We've got dwarf mongoose who have trapped a snake inside of this combretum. I couldn't figure out why they were all banded underneath this tree, and they've chased this snake up into the tree. Do you see the snake there? It looks like a mamba to me, but they're all crowded around the bottom. This is so incredible. This is not something you get to see every day. I don't think I've ever been able to show my guests this. This is very, very, very cool. I just want to get my binos on. I cannot even begin to explain to you how excited I am right now. Yeah, it looks like a mamba. Hey, Sense. Sense, I don't know if you just want to go to the bottom of the tree there and just show them how the... Can you everybody hear them chittering away? Can we hear that alarm call? Amazing. interesting because that snake must have been at the bottom of the tree on the ground, and then there must have at one point been something like 30 dwarf mongoose. There's even one that's trying to climb up a little bit. Senzo, can you see there on the stump on the butt? Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much. And it's interesting because they're not necessarily going to. I've never seen dwarf mongoose climb a tree. I've seen slender mongoose climb up, far up into a tree, sort of several meters, and start eating off of an old leopard kill. So I know they can get up there. But the thing is that boomslang is very adept at hunting birds, and is very adept at hunting birds from within a tree. So yes, they've chased it up there, and yes, they are fully capable of killing it. But oh look, it's is that the head coming down there, Sens? There's the tail. There's the head. Yeah, there's the head. So he's also repositioning himself a bit to see if maybe he can get a snack there. Look, the mamba can possibly kill the mongoose. The mongoose can definitely kill them. I actually think I've misidentified this snake. I'm sorry. Just Calamity Jane. Yeah, I just want to triple check. For some reason on the monitor, it looked like it was a cobra for a second, but I'm gonna. Yeah, thanks, Curse. I'm also going to stick with my black mamba. Sorry, my excitement levels are just over the moon. No, definitely, you can see those eyes, definitely hunting for birds. It is a mamba. And now that I'm looking, it's maneuvered itself so that I can see, I would say it's probably about 2 meters long, so about 6 foot. And yes, it definitely can kill the mongoose. But the mongoose in that big group, what they were doing is sort of mobbing it. They're very capable of killing that mamba itself. Now they've moved off, and they've gone back to this termite mound that's behind us here. But you can see there's still a few sentries that are keeping an eye on it. It's hard. They keep moving very quickly, back and front and back and front. I think let's stick with our black mamba for now, because it's not something we get to see every day. And it is a beautiful, beautiful snake. All snakes are beautiful. I'm absolutely enthralled with this sighting. The action has died down, and they've gone to the safety of their termite mounds behind us. I'll show it to you a little bit later, but I mean, just catch an idea of how quickly this mamba can move inside of this combretum. It's able to maneuver itself in such a way that it's never really entangled. It's always got an opportunity to possibly hunt. Absolutely stunning. I'm so excited right now. Joy, you're asking, are boomslangs the same as a mamba? A boomslang is also an arboreal hunting snake, so also a snake that has sort of binocular vision eyes, I think is the word I'm looking to find at the moment, and will eat, birds and birds' eggs and things like that. So they have similar hunting techniques, but it is a different snake. This mamba has neurotoxin venoms. This mamba, if it bites you, you have between 20 minutes and 4 hours to get to hospital to get anti-venom. A boomslang has hemotoxic venom, so the neurotoxins shut down your nervous system and you stop being able to breathe, pretty much. Hemotoxin venom refuses to let your blood clot, and so it just runs and runs and runs and runs. You have much longer time to get to the hospital then, and then they do several days of transfusions, and then you're fine. Also, with the boomslang, the fangs are hinged backwards, so to get a boomslang to bite you, you have to sort of pick it up and twirl it around and bang it about. The reason why it has those backward fangs is when it bites a bird, when the bird tries to fly away, then the bird gets stuck on the backward facing fangs, and then it can inject its venom, and then it's easier for it to not only kill its prey, but also to swallow its prey. Now, for the life of me right now, I cannot remember if the mamba is fixed front fang or hinged front fanged. If there's anyone that is watching that can help my slightly addled brain at the moment remember what it's trying to remember, that would be fantastic. I'm sorry, I'm still just so excited that we managed to catch that whole scenario, or most of that scenario, on camera. So now the snake has figured out that the mongoose are gone. It is now coming down the tree. And again, so quickly. I'll be interested to see which direction it goes in. Now you can really see that speed and how it functions. You can also now see the length really well. Senzo, do you agree? About 2 meters, hey? Yeah. It's a long one. The biggest one I've ever seen is 4 meters. So this is half the size of the biggest one I've ever seen. And this one will get bigger. It will also get much thicker. Senz is doing an amazing job trying to keep an eye on it as it moves through the grass. I don't want to move our vehicle too much. The direction that it seems to be heading seems like it wants to come out into this little bit of an open area, possibly. I can just see its head poking out now at about our 3 o'clock. You got it there, Senz? Alright, and so we're going to get a really nice view, hopefully, of this mamba and the full length of it. Yeah, it is moving fast, Senzo. So it's going to come, we've got an impala midden that's just to our right, and it's going to come there. Perfect. I mean, look how well they blend in. And just to give you guys an idea, so obviously every time Senzo has to move the camera, it needs to focus so that we can see. But because the snake is moving so quickly, it's actually a very difficult skill that Senz is doing at the moment. I mean, look at the size of this snake. All right, we're not going to be able to, I do have to move now because of where it's moving. I'm going to do my best to not ruin our visual too much. Come, Wendy, come. I want to see if we can manage to stay with it for as long as possible. See how it raised its body there a little bit? They can raise their bodies 2/3 of their own of its own body length. It's going to go up into that little bit of brush. I'm just going to reposition again. This is really special. Dos Santos, are you asking, do birds hunt the black mamba? Was that the question, Kirst? So I've seen gray-headed bushshrike and orange-breasted bushshrike catching snakes. I've never seen them catching something like this mamba. Snake eagles will definitely catch a snake, and what's very interesting about snake eagles is that they don't have feathers on their legs, so that when they do go for something like... Okay, sorry, Senzo's just telling me it's going to the termite mound where these dwarf mongoose were. Sorry, Dos Santos, give me 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Can you see it, Senz? Okay, sorry, I'm just positioning. There we go. Thank you, Senzo. So that when they catch something like this mamba, or possibly I've seen quite a bit with the puff adders, they catch it and then they don't kill it right away, and they fly up on the wing and start eating it, especially black-breasted snake eagle, eating it on the wing like that, so that while the snake's still alive, if it bites them, it bites those scales and the venom is not injected into them. Senz, do you have it now?
Yeah.
Ivan, thank you so much. It's fixed front hollowed fangs. Yeah, the fangs are hollow indeed, so fixed front fangs. Thank you so much for double checking me on that. It's going into the road. It's decided not to go towards... Oh, I'm not going to move. Sorry, Sen. Sorry. I was just thinking about the aerial there. Oh, look. It basically, the entire length of the road is the length of that snake. You can hear the birds starting to alarm call now. Because of that snake. And it's decided, nope, too much alarm calls, too much going on. It is out of here. Oh, everyone, fantastic. Senzo, thank you. Everyone, thank you. That was an epic sighting. I fully enjoyed that. I hope you all enjoyed that as well. That was beyond entertainment. And again, super special. So I've been doing this for so long, and look, I've seen a mamba and I've seen dwarf mongoose with guests time and time again, but that interaction that we just had there, primo. That's better than a leopard. Much better than a leopard. Senzo, high five. Yeah. High five. All right, everybody. My adrenaline's up a little bit. I don't know what we're going to do now. I have to contemplate. That was way too exciting for this very, very hot morning in the Lowveld. Shame, and all those mongoose have gone in. They're all going to be hiding. Oh, absolutely fantastic. It's amazing. So I doubt myself as well, viewers. Yeah. So we get these great interactions, like you had the elephant with the lions yesterday, and Scott's got these great interactions he's been having with those cheetahs making kills. But this type of protection and predatory aspect is on such a smaller level, and I don't want to say more intricate, but it is almost more intricate because of the smallness in which they have to function, and the way they have to hide, and the way they have to move, and how they have to move their bodies. I mean, something like a lion or a cheetah is moving in such a large space. For a black mamba and those mongoose, they're moving in a much smaller, much more tight space, in between branches, in between grass. And also, I mean, a lot of that grass, it's much taller than the mongoose. So you saw them standing up like this and making sure they can see, and then once they'd gotten the snake in the tree, checking and making sure to alarm call the whole time, and speaking to each other and letting each other know that the snake's in the tree, and then they left one. I mean, a dwarf mongoose, this is my cell phone, so a dwarf mongoose is the size, it's smaller than my hand. Yeah, can we see that? So it's smaller than my hand, it's about this size, and that snake is 2 meters. That's 6 foot. So that's my brother's 6'2", so I mean that's really tall. That's almost the tall of a doorway that you would walk through in your home. And that they left one alone while they all went to safety and all put themselves into their home in the Termite Mountain. They left one to keep an eye, and he waits there for this ginormous creature compared to him, who has the ability to strike and kill him and eat him. He waits there, still chattering away, basically defending his whole... It's a business of mongoose, by the way. That's our collective noun for mongoose. And then picking the right moment to himself scurry away without being attacked. It's really well thought out, and yes, some of it's ingrained behavior, but also a lot of that has to be learned behavior and learning to move within a group. It's teamwork. It's really incredible. All right, I'm waffling now in my crazy adrenaline-filled excitement. So let's head back to Scott with his cheetah and see what he has to offer us up there. Maybe they give us action on a larger level like we also enjoy.
Having to make an executive decision here.
I would never let that mamba come to you, Sens. I promise. Oh, are we live? We're live! Sorry, as I'm busy trying to reverse and kicking out of gear. Sorry about the gremlins. They do happen. I'm still, obviously, I just was with you 3 seconds ago. I'm not calmed down from my excitement. something Sens and I were just briefly chatting about. Because a mamba can raise itself up sort of 2/3 of its body, it's really important when we're filming something like that mamba. I have to be very aware of where we put the car and how we move it, because on more than one occasion I've had a mamba come and strike the side of my car. I actually had a tracker once who had to leap over here. It was in a tree, we didn't see it. So I have to be very aware of Senzo and myself and our vehicle, and also what this predator is doing. They are one of the snakes that tends to be more aggressive. It's not all the time, and remember, snakes are not bad in any way. Snakes are an integral part of the ecosystem. They're absolutely incredible. But you know, when you're filming something like that or viewing something like that, who Senzo's got the heebie-jeebies in the back, filming something like that, keeping our safety in check is very important. Alright, so Steph is still on his own 2 feet in this heat. I bet he's sweating away and hopefully protecting the backside of his head with a hat. You never know. Let's head over to him and see what's happening.
I do have a hat. I was protecting the backside of my head. I just don't like speaking with it on. You know, myself and John have been walking around here in a patch of forest that we don't often come to. In actual fact, in the last 3 years we've only been here 2 or 3 times, and it's because it's fairly remote. It's also because traditionally speaking there wasn't a lot of signal in this area, and so we never used to walk through here, just walk past it and around it. But with our new mast that we've got a shiny new mast, and of course it's allowed us to get into areas where we couldn't previously get to, and it's been fantastic. So far we've seen a red-headed weaver, male, courting a female while you're busy having a look at that epic mamba and mongoose sighting, and now we've got a black-headed oriole busy singing from here, although it's just flown off. But what it has given us the opportunity to do is visit one of my favorite trees. This is one of the largest knobthorns on the property. I don't think in terms of height-wise, but definitely in terms of girth-wise. This is a prime example of an acacia, or as they call them now, Vichilia nigrescens, or the knobthorn Vichilia, and is just an enormous tree. And to have survived for this tree, to have survived here up to this point, it's actually a phenomenon, because this is relatively close to that spring, that natural spring that Voyatella Lodge is built around, and elephants would have known about this for hundreds if not thousands of years, and this tree would have been subject to much elephant attention, and how it hasn't been ring-barked ever is just incredible. It has its accompanying orchid, leopard orchid. This particular one is not flowering yet. Will do so at some point, I think. And quite a big one. That leopard orchid itself is in and around the 30 years old. And this tree, I don't know how old this tree is. I don't know how old knobthorns get to. They do grow really slow. They've got quite a hard wood. And just have a look at how rough this bark is. Now, the bark of a tree is important. It's like the skin or our skin, and it helps to protect us from any outside or influences, negative influences. And as you can see, this bark peels off, and it peels off because the outside of the bark is where all the fungus will stick to, and by shedding pieces of the bark like it does during rain and wind and rubbing against one another, or bushes rubbing against it, they shed off all the plants that take root basically on the bark, and by keeping it new and fresh, they keep their skin new and fresh as well. Wow, really awesome tree. Joy, you would like to know how old this tree is. Good question, Joy. I don't know. I've very rarely seen big knobthorns like this that are knocked over to give us the opportunity to count their growth rings, but I'm going to warrant, I don't know, somewhere between 100 to 200 years old, somewhere around there. Easily, you know, as old as the Kruger National Park is itself. So, I mean, just to give you an example, this tree was here when the park was proclaimed, 115 years ago. I would easily say that. Isn't that incredible? Nice. Hello there, old man. to come spend some time with these guys. They're like living history books. This particular tree saw the first aeroplane flying over the skies, has watched the first satellite, heard the first car, and they were making, probably one of the first Europeans that walked through this area was witness to that. Really amazing. Maritza, you'd like me to hug the tree for you? Let's give the tree a big hug. You've got to spend some time with these trees, There's a lot of energy that you can get from trees like this. It's a good thing, hugging trees. I finally got my son to start hugging trees as well. He also quite likes doing it. I don't even need to prompt him to do it anymore. As weird as that sounds. I suppose. Alright, good seeing you again, old guy. Alright, we are on a game path here. We're busy exploring this newly discovered drainage lines. Well, by newly discovered, I mean we can share it with you because of the fact that we have some decent signal here again. Alright, and so while we walk off through this thick bush, which is going to take us a bit of time to try and navigate, why don't we go and see what Noel is up to.
Hi Steph, I'm bumbling. We are still overly excited about our mongoose snake interaction, mongoose mamba interaction. It was a medley of mongoose and mambas. And trying to follow up on these leopard tracks that Rexon had earlier on his game drive. Just an update with the sneaky sticks. I missed something along the way because they ended up in Torchwood. So, yeah, and the Inkahumas have also moved out of our area, but you never know what will happen this evening. You never know. And as you can see, it's not just about the lions, which I love, and I think I have a slight obsession I might have to deal with. But yes, that mongoose mamba interaction was just too much. So because it's super warm, as we're driving around, Kurt, do we have the temp yet? Again, I'll check for you guys. It feels like it's probably about 29, 28. 25, which is 77, cursed. I think the thermometer's lying. It feels much hotter than that. My leg is burning. Anyway, enough chit chat with that. So we're looking in the shade and we're looking up in trees because when it starts to get warm like this, that's what they're going to do. They're going to go find a shady place to be in. But again, we might find some interesting bird interaction. We might find, you never know what we'll find. And that's the most brilliant thing about the bush is that everything is different every single day. You can drive the same roads every day. And it changes constantly, and that's what keeps you all coming back to watch us, and that's what keeps all of us doing what we're doing. Sorry, there's trucks. Did you see that side as well? Since famoso. All right, they're heading down this way. Our leopard tracks. So my wish for when we find this leopard, I'm tired of this tracking and then they hide from us business. It must stop. I would like it on top of a termite mound, sitting there nicely, maybe grooming itself for us to watch. That's my wish for this morning. But that being said, we've had such a brilliant morning already. I don't know if maybe I'm pushing my luck. Alright, so we're cresting again. We talk about cresting a lot. We're coming up onto a hill, starting to get a lot of marula trees. Different color to the soil, sort of a pinky, orangey tinge to it. As opposed to sort of the whiter tinge that we were dealing with this morning and a little bit of black cotton. Ooh, so Yana, you're asking what do you have to do to get ready to go on a safari? And Yana, I assume you're asking what do I do to get ready to go on a safari? So Yana, I try to be as prepared as I possibly can. I've got my little kit, I've got my bag that's always set up, my camera's packed away. So basically in the morning I get up, I wash my face, I brush my teeth, I obviously clothe myself. And then I try and be as prepared as possible so that we can just sort of hop in the car and then go. And coffee, always coffee. And then it's interesting, so last night we had the sticks moving off, so I was already thinking last night what I wanted to do this morning and sort of where I wanted to drive. You've seen it never really ends up the way that you want. Everything pops up and everything's different in the morning, and then in my head I also think about, well, what did we talk about yesterday and the past couple of days, and what do I feel like discussing today? So I've got some things cataloged in my brain that I know that I want to discuss with everybody, and sometimes I get to them and sometimes I don't. I've got things that I want to talk about with the giraffe, but I want to actually find the giraffe to talk about it because it's always nicer when we can look at the animal. So that's probably something we'll do this afternoon if we come across a giraffe. And then I'm busy working through some other topics that I really want to chat with everybody about, and I'm actually investigating little places that would be the best ones to do that in, and sort of ticking that off as we go along. So that's sort of how I prepare myself. When I get back this morning, we'll have a little morning meeting, and then we have brekkies, and then a break during the day and do a little bit of study, a little bit of recap, because there's a lot of information inside of here, not nearly enough for me. I want more and more and more. And then also it just depends on your questions. So if I can see that we're gearing towards a certain line of questioning, then I can pick up again in the afternoon. That's how I prepare. But then if you as a guest want to come on a safari preparing for that, I think it depends on what do you want to see and what's important to you. So if you're a big birder, where you should prepare to go or look into go, as opposed to if you just want to see leopard, and then doing research on the area that you want to go to, and doing research on the best lodges and with the best guides. I know lodges that cost a fraction of other lodges but have some of the most incredible guides, and I will send people there, say, over one that costs a lot more because maybe the guides aren't as good, and that's what's going to make your experience. I mean, that's why you guys watch us as well. We've got some amazing guides working here, and with amazing cam ops and amazing directors. Curse, don't worry, I'm not forgetting about you, to all to sort of bring it together. And so those are different things that you would look at along with your budget to prepare yourself for a safari. But I've been doing this for long enough that I try and minimize the amount of time it takes me to get ready. It's really sort of hair in a bun, clothes on, brush teeth, make sure I don't have, something on my face, and then going with the flow of what we have out here. Steph is climbing trees, so let's go to him. Maybe ask Steph what he does to prepare for a game drive. I would be interested to know.
I am in the top of a tree. This will be one of the very, very few times that you'll get to see anybody standing inside a sneezewood, especially at the height that it is. This is the tallest sneezewood, I'm going to say, in the Kruger National Park, only because I don't know of anything taller, but definitely here at Djuma, this is the tallest sneezewood tree. Not the biggest in terms of girth, although not far off the largest one that I know of close to Buffelshoek Dam, but definitely the tallest one that I've ever seen here at Djuma. So big that I thought that I'd climb in it to show you exactly how big the sneezewood is. Generally speaking, they are no bigger than this branch this little branch here, but this particular one has allowed us to climb in it, and I thought quite nice for it as well. A lot of the branches are injured and dead, and that just is testimony to how long this particular tree has been here. This tree is easily even older than that knobthorn that we were looking at. Now, Anna-Marie, you'd like to know why it's called a sneezewood. Anna-Marie, quite simply, the wood of this particular tree has a compound in it that when you work the tree, it irritates your sinus, your mucous membranes, and causes you to sneeze. So the wood itself has a poisonous compound in. It smells very similar to sort of like a cheesy chip, or it's got the most unbelievably appetizing smell. You just sort of want to chew it. But the actual wood is a beautiful yellow color. Let me see if I can get you a piece of this tree, you can see how hard it is. Oh no, okay. That was probably a schoolboy error. You're all wondering about the blood that I have on my elbow. That was from a tick bite rather than a tree that jumped out and attacked me. So the blood that I have there is from that. And as Kersley so rightly points out, not very exciting. Right, let me just show you the wood. So there's the wood, the color of the wood of this tree. As you can see, a beautiful, very fine-grained yellow color. And that was for years, in the furniture industry at least, used as inlays, particularly for very fine violins and for jewelry boxes, because of the beautiful patterns that it has on it, and then also the fact that it takes on a very high polish. But it's just got such a fantastic smell, sort of a cheesy smell, but a nice cheese, not a horrible one, not a strong smelling blue cheese or anything like that, just a nice appetizing macaroni cheese type smell. Jared is asking me to bring it back for breakfast, and I think I'll do exactly that. I'll put it in here for him. Now this tree has probably been here for the last couple of 100 years, and untouched, a tree this size to have gone unnoticed by, wood collectors and heavy industry in this particular, in South Africa. These trees would have been traded from here all the way down to Cape Town. They would have been put on ships as an indigenous hardwood and sent all over the world. At a point, these trees were used in heavy industry to make bearing casings. In particular, in the Cape of Good Hope, ships that have broken bearings on their propeller shafts were given replacement bearings made from this tree. The hotter it gets, an oil starts to come out of the wood, and so the wood is as hard as steel, or at least the iron of that particular age, and with it self-lubricating, it made for a fantastic replacement for broken bearings on propeller shafts that weren't engineered exactly straight. And so these trees were used for that as well. For the center yoke in wagons as well, these trees were quite often harvested for that because of their massive strength. And then of course for fire, to make steam, to drive, steam engines or whatever else. This was chopped down for railway sleepers. They were chopped down. It's just, the list goes on and on. Now, Joy, you'd like to know if these trees are protected. They absolutely are protected. You can't harvest these trees without a license. And as far as I know, there hasn't been a license issued for a sneezewood for years and years, mainly because outside of the protected areas they do not occur. Not in any large numbers, at least anyway. And for that reason, there's just not enough of them to sustainably harvest, and so they don't have a license to cut them. You might find that people harvest sneezewood that has already been produced for something. Sneezewoods were used as fencing posts, as support timbers inside housing construction, and there'd be a lot of sneezewood available out there. But it would not be chopped down or harvested in the wild anymore. I think it's probably just sneezewood planks and poles that you find, wood collectors busy utilizing. Alright, now while I make my way down this tree, which I'm not sure how I'm going to do just yet, we're going to be sending you over to Scott in the Mara, where he is racing around.
Well, it sounds like you guys have had a fascinating sighting with that black mamba, and that's such great news because snake sightings are not very common, and that sounded like a magic one. We have ditched Malaika and her boys in the hope that we're going to be able to catch up with the two sisters who I'm told are somewhere in this area, and they've been on the move. So we're just trying to work out where exactly they are. We were told in and around the area called Bilashaka, which is this little drainage system or riverbed system, or laga they would call it in Kenya. But there's no immediate sign of them anywhere, so we'll just have to do a bit of snooping about, and hopefully we'll be able to work out where they are sooner rather than later. I am told that they were on the move, which is good prospects for us. I've actually never seen the two of them hunt. Or have I? Haven't seen them at a proper hunt yet, although they did catch a Thompson's gazelle right behind our vehicle one night when we weren't expecting it. We were fast asleep and we got up, or they got up and walked behind our vehicle, and by the time we turned around the vehicle they had a Thompson's gazelle in their beak. What I'm going to try and do is catch up to this guy here and try and get some info from him. Wait, hold on. Maybe he is going where we need to go, or maybe he's just heading back to camp for breakfast. I'm flashing my lights at him, hoping that he's going to look in his side mirrors, but I'm guessing he's not, because you don't really look in your side mirrors too much when you're driving through the wilderness. It's not as essential as when you're in the city. Jambo Bwana! Buddy! Well, when in doubt, shout. Jambo sana, morning! Habari ya safari? Aha. Iko habari ya hiki kembile? Ndio. Kweli? Pale tu. Amewinda ama
So we're just busy bumbling about. Basically, the heat has come up like this. It is a traditional low-felled summer. We were just checking those leopard tracks that we had. They moved into a very large block. They have not crossed over Triple M. So we're just trying to see if he's come out. And also we're just fixing a little things on the back, a little bit of sound. So I hope you all can hear us fine. Seems like you can. I don't have Kirst in my ear. So what we're going to do is we're just going to loop again around this way. That area is it's an interesting area. It's a toss-up when you're off-roading, when you're tracking. So something like Tingana, when you get his fresh tracks and he goes off the road, it's better to take the vehicle in because he's just going to run away when you walk him. Something like this young male leopard they're looking at, I'm not quite sure who it could have been. I'll have to check with Rexon later. Maybe Husana. I'm not sure. So when you're busy tracking, then it's a toss-up, and also if the area is a very large area, you don't necessarily want to unnecessarily off-road. Every time you off-road, it's about 2 meters, like we saw with that Mamba across the road. So you've got 2 meters where you've got the vehicle driving, but it's actually 4 meters of damage on either side that the earth has to rejuvenate and has to repair. So we're always weighing up those options and always discussing sort of what's happening and in the surroundings around us, and whether or not it's worth it. So for me, for this morning, with the type of weather that we have and the area that he went into, it's not worth checking that side. Steph has managed to climb down from the tree and not fall out, amazingly enough. So let's head on over to him and see what he has to say.
It is actually quite amazing that I didn't come short climbing out of that tree, but I managed to get out relatively easy. And what we're doing now is we're exploring what is arguably my favorite of all the hyena dens in this area. This is the hyena den off of Mvubu Road, and is frequented by the hyena clan here from time to time. You know, who knows why they choose a specific den over another. I know why they move. they move because of lions moving into an area and fleas and infestation of pests. But why they choose one den or not another, who knows? And when they're going to come back here, I'm not too sure. But it is absolutely my favorite of all of them. And I think it's because it's shaded and there's lots of shady trees around. And I also think it's because it's such a huge termite mound. This is a building-sized termite mound, and still an active termite mound at that. And then it has this hyena den in. And here's one of the tunnels here that you can see, which has nothing in it. Now there's fresh hyena tracks just next to this termite mound, and I was wondering to myself, how often do hyena come and inspect these dens and see, this is good real estate right now, or not so much because there's a python or a black mamba living inside of it, or a family of porcupine or a honey badger or something. But quite nice. And then also it is allowing us the chance to see these jumping beans. So this is the seed pod of a tambuti, and this particular seed has been eaten by something. You can see how that seed there has been eaten out, and that seed there has been eaten out, and they've just left the third seed, that one there. Now these seeds break off like this, and then they have a larvae inside of it that cause the seed to jump. And you probably find that this particular seed was already infected by the larvae, which means that whatever was eating the seed didn't find it particularly appetizing. And there's the tambuti seed there. Let's see what it had inside of it. There's the... Did that jump, or was it just my imagination? Now I know it's probably not the best sight staring at the back of my bald head, but I really wanted to see if there was... Oh, I've lost it now. What a pity. Although here's another one here. It's a very characteristic three-winged pod, a three-winged seed of the tambuti. Here's the seed, but this one is green. Definitely been knocked off feeding rather than... This one is also empty. But this one has got no worm inside it, no caterpillar inside it. You can see there's the seed there. That is the baby tambuti tree. Right there. There's no worm on the inside. What is going to be pretty cool is seeing these jumping beans start to jump, and that will happen in the next couple of weeks. It only happens for about a week or so, where you see all these seeds jumping like crazy all over the place. And hopefully we're going to be on bushwalk and I can show you. I don't plan on being anywhere else than here over the next couple of weeks, and so I missed last season, got the season before that, and I'm really hoping that this year we can see some jumping beans with you. So you'll have to unfortunately stay watching, because it's going to happen quick where we'll be able to see these jumping beads and then it'll be over. Now, Vulpine Wolf Girl, wow, what a Twitter handle. You just asked, are there any carnivorous plants around here? Yes, there are some sundews around on very wet years. We do get some sundews down in the Lowveld. Now, sundew is a carnivorous plant, and by that it means that it gets its nutrients from eating animate insects, usually like a Venus flytrap, for instance. But sundew is a tiny little plant that grows on the edges of pans and water. It's got a stalk and these red filaments that come off of the plant with a globule of quite sticky fluid on the end, and that is attractive to insects who come and land, obviously to get some nectar, get stuck on these filaments with these globules, and then the plant sort of engulfs them and curls under and then is holding the insect tight, and then will secrete these enzymes which dissolve the insect, and then all the nutrients the plant then uses for its own metabolism. So we do get that here, but none no Venus flytraps or pitcher plants, which you do get on the Highveld closer to Johannesburg rather than here. Right, we're going to be sending, well, we're going to carry on here and see what else interesting we can show you. In the meantime, we're going to send you over to Noel.
Yeah, Steph, you got to be careful of those Venus flytraps. All right, we have one of the chelonians. Chelonian is a terrapin, a tortoise, or a turtle. No turtles on Djuma. We are not on the ocean, but we do have terrapins. And then we have this beautiful tortoise. Tortoise. The tortoises are land-based. They have claws. They are vegetarians. And this tortoise is a leopard tortoise. And Senzo said, "Look, we found a leopard," and then whispered, "Tortoise." I was like, cheeky. I used to work with a guide who would do that on the radio. It was very frustrating, but also funny at the same time. So you can see nicely the sort of armored plates. This is not really plates, not really scales. I'm not quite sure what to call them, sort of on the front legs there, so that when it pulls its neck, or its head and its neck directly back in, it then covers it up with its front forelimbs there. And then it's called a leopard tortoise because of the coloration on the shell. Very, very hard shell, very hard carapace. Where the coloration is on there, those are called the scutes, and they can come off, especially as they get older. Munching away there. They always look like they have such angry faces, but they are actually quite gentle, and this one is being very speedy. You'd actually be surprised how quickly a tortoise can move. I just need to reverse the car a little bit because you're not going to be able to see this little tortoise shortly. I also don't want it to go under the car. And we will just move for a better view for all of you. Sans, are you happy with that? Okay. So we moved the car and now it's looking around, just double checking. It was in the middle of the road before. It is something that we have to be careful of and something we have to watch, especially come summertime with tortoise movements. Even when we drive off the reserve and go into town, you have to be aware. They're definitely around and about, and you can always tell anyone that works in the guiding fraternity because they'll be stopped in the most inopportune moments on the tar road, busy ushering tortoises off and things like that. Alright, see how it picks up its whole body off the ground, lifts it up onto its almost tiptoes, it would seem like, not quite tiptoes, and then meanders like that. And this one's moving a little bit slowly now, but it'll start picking up speed in a moment. Midnight Dreamer, you're wondering if a hyena can bite through a tortoiseshell. Most definitely. I've watched hyenas chew through cast iron pots. So yes, most definitely. The species that I've seen interacting with tortoises to try and eat them, properly eat them, would be something like a ground hornbill. They do a really good job with that. I've seen predators like lions, especially young lions, find something like a tortoise, and obviously the tortoise goes back into its shell and then sort of flipping around and playing with it. They're not able to get in there at all. It's a good question, though. I mean, hyenas, when we talk about how strong a hyena's jaws are and what the torque is, we can discuss it, but it's very similar to, I would imagine, how I feel about numbers and distances, where I understand it, I understand what people are telling me, but to conceptualize it's a little bit different. So without having actually seen that or felt or touched this type of creature, it's difficult to understand sort of how thick or how hard that shell might be and what it would take to get through. I do know with ground hornbills, they really have to peck very, very hard. But something like a hyena, if it grasps it correctly, remember that torque for the hyena's jaw is not with the front teeth, it's with the side. Predators chew using their molars, which are called carnassial shears. It works like a scissor action. So it's that biting on the side. If anyone in the audience has ever had braces when you're trying to chew something like a Millie's, a corn on the cob, it's very hard. You kind of have to go to the side or you just give up altogether. It's something very similar to that. All right, our tortoise has gone away. away. So we are going to carry on with our bumble. I've just been reminded of my ineptitude of being able to find lions this morning. We can see the lion tracks from yesterday. Scotty D is back with Signal. He's in the Mara. Let's head up to him. And of course, he has Cheetah. Scott loves those cheetah, and I'm sure he's trying to spend as much time as he possibly can with them before he comes home to South Africa. Scott, I hope they make a kill for you.
Well, we have got more luck going for us this morning. We have managed to find the two sisters, and it appears like they're looking around intently, trying to work out which direction to head. There's a lot of game in the general area. I'm guessing they're going to be most interested in Thompson's gazelle. That's the most suitable size prey for them, unless of course they can come across any young topee, possibly a young wildebeest. But I'm guessing Thompson's gazelle is going to be the flavor of the day, and there are a few of them dotted amongst these little rocks. You can see the small antelope there. So either they're going to head up towards those ones. There's another herd directly behind our vehicle that we're not going to be able to show you, but they're kind of equidistant from the cheetah. The cheetah are just chilling out in that lugger, which is a term for a riverbed in Kenya. And I'm told they have been kind of on the prowl so far this morning, but haven't had any luck hunting yet. Hello Lazy Starfire, you'd like to know at what age will cheetahs start scent marking? Well, the females will only start scent marking when they first come into season, to let the males know. They won't be doing it for territorial reasons. And anywhere from around 2.5 to I think 3 years of age will cheetahs start becoming sexually active, the females. The males will probably be a little bit older when they become sexually active, because they need to fly below the radar of dominant males, and I guess that's also a reason why they may not be scent marking as much as they would when they are fully dominant or fully grown. So there'll be a couple of years when they move out of home where they might not be too active. But I've actually never spent time with young cheetah growing up and starting to do such things, so I've got no first-hand experience on that. Now, Mano and I had planned to head back to camp straight after this morning's safari, but I think we are probably going to bunker down with these guys for the day. I'm feeling that we may get lucky with a bit of a midday massacre. So that's something to look forward to outside of the drive, some notifications on Facebook, as and when these guys decide to get active. I mean, we're a long way off from them here, but just judging from the views we had of them, they did look to be quite hungry. Their bellies were certainly looking quite empty. Very, very peaceful settings with just one rufous-naped lark calling, and a gentle breeze blowing. It's a nice cool morning here, even though the sun's out. It's not too hot just yet. Alrighty then, well, we aren't going to be going anywhere, but you are going back to Steph for one final little bushwalk.
We've got a lion on foot here, everybody, that has just chased these impala straight at us, and we're trying to see where this lion is. We just caught a very, very brief glimpse of her. It looks like one of the Nkahuma lionesses. Now, of course, lions on foot tend to be very shy with people, and in this particular case, this is no exception. You can see that these impala are running towards us, away from that lion. He's obviously moved away from us and has had an effect on this particular group of impala. Difficult to see exactly where this lion went, and of course you don't really want to push lions too far. You absolutely don't want to walk towards a thick patch of bush like this. You want to stick towards the open if you can. And the reason for that is that lions will quite often use a thick patch of bush to hide behind, and then when you walk up to them you can startle them. So what we don't want to do, come this way, these impala are right here. I know we've only got a very short time. We've only got a very short time left, so we're going to see if I can show you this line. Let's see. There. So that line just got up there, growled at me and just got up. She just ran off in that direction. Now, she would probably turn and have one more look at us before moving away. Now, the reason why I'm moving so fast is because, like I said, lions will quite often have a look at you, move away, go down, have a look at you one more time, and then move off. And then there's no ways that you could get closer to them then you inviting a charge. So let's see. Let's go a little bit closer. Okay, so we're around this thick bush. The next patch of thick bush is underneath there. That is where she would have gone to ground. Past there, you don't want to go too close. She's already moved away once, moved away twice. She won't move away a third time. The next time, she'll come out of this and give us a bit of a shout. And that's what we don't want to do. We'd like to show you this lion, but we're not going to show you her if it's going to make her scared of people on foot. That is exactly the reaction that we don't want. So I think what we're going to do is leave this lioness. There's this drainage line here in front of us, and I think she's moved in there. But quite exciting. Anyway, so sorry I couldn't show you that, but we've got a lioness over here, and maybe we can do something else. Anyway, to Scott in the Mara. See you just now.
Jeez, well, that's some very exciting stuff on Bushwalk with Steph, and certainly making me very excited to also get out there on foot. For now though, very, very content with the situation. This will be, in all likelihood, the last day that I... Oh, let's have a look at that topi at 1 o'clock. It just did this strange leap into the air, Manu. Let's see if it does it again. I think it was a topi. Further to the right, quite a way off. Yeah, that one there. Let's keep an eye on it. It was just bucking and bronking during the rodeo. I'm not too sure why. Just looked up and saw it flying through the air. Hopefully it'll do it again. So yeah, this is all likely will be the last day that I get to spend with Cheetah in the Mara, as tomorrow it's unlikely that we will find any on the triangle side, which will be where I'll be spending my last day here. So really, really grateful for our luck with the Cheetah, and even though the two sisters may be sleeping now, I'm confident that they are going to provide us with some action at some point during the day. So we will be here waiting for that. Come on, Topster. Give us another run around, please. Another thing Manu and I were hoping to achieve during our quest for cheetah action would be to get a hunt in the midday heat, so you get that kind of rippled haze in the shot. And that could well happen today. It's the perfect conditions, and you can already see the heat haze starting to pick up on those wildebeest in the background, and it's still not nearly as warm as it's going to get. So we could have some dramatic scenes later on. Oh Manu, you've got some vultures coming in, 10 o'clock. Get them. So this is also a good indicator that it's not that warm yet. There's not too many thermals rising up off the earth, which is why the vultures are having to flap about. Having said that though, there are some that have managed to catch a thermal, but I don't think we're going to be able to get you the best views of them. I guess we've got the bottom ones here. Well done, Manu. Beautiful. Imagine being up there. Oh. Well, Manu can, because he spent a lot of time in the hot air balloon. Not quite the same sensation, but similar. Certainly not as quiet. Hi Colleen, you'd like to know what happened to Jamie and Brent. They went on holiday, and it looks like they've had an epic trip. They've been in Uganda doing some white water rafting and fishing and just general exploration. And they were actually teamed up with Craig and Bex, one of the cameramen and one of the ladies from the content team. Oh, these are such great views. Can you believe this? Whew, well done, Manu. And yeah, there'll basically be a whole bunch arriving back into camp tomorrow. I think Genre is also one of them. I think 5 or 6 people arrive back in camp. And then a few of us head out. Taylor and myself head out on the 16th in the morning. Taylor's going to the coast to a place called Watamu, which is a very, very cool coastal town. I've actually spent more time than any other coastal area in Kenya. So she's in for a treat there. And I'll be going back to South Africa and enjoying a little holiday in my hometown called Durban on the east coast. So that's where Jamie and Brent have been. And they managed to actually see a shoebill, which is a very cool bird. That was one of their list of things to do whilst in Uganda, which is really cool. Very happy that they got that one done. Prehistoric looking birds. It's quite crazy at the moment. The Safari Live crew is growing so much. Literally new people get employed every week, and it's a very different setup to how it was when I started just over 3 years ago. We had a tiny little crew back then. So it's wonderful that the crew is growing and the places that we get to share with you are also expanding, and who knows where we will be next. Going somewhere, that's for certain. So looking forward to that. Dina, you ask a tricky question to answer. Which place do I prefer more, the Mara or the Kruger? They're so different that you almost shouldn't compare the two. You'd go to each place for a different experience, to see slightly different animals. But for what we do, the Mara, especially being based out of the vehicle, so Safari Live vehicles, not obviously the bushwalk, I think the Mara is a very magical place because it's got a lot of animals to look at and the perfect environment for us to film them in, because it's open, so you can actually film them when things start getting exciting. Whereas in the sands, that is very, very tricky to do. Having said that, there's animals like the leopard that there's not many places in Africa that you will get as good a viewing as you will in the Sabi sands. So there's perks to both places. The walking of the Sabi sands great, and to be honest, I tend to need to keep moving. Otherwise I get bored in any one place. So that's why I love being able to move around to different safari locations to enjoy all the benefits that each place has, because there's no place that's perfect. Each place has its ups and its downs. But the Mara is a very, very special place, as is the Sabi Sands, and I think they complement one another well. You know, if it was just a one-sided show from here, there would be things that we'd be missing out on in the sands, and vice versa. What would be ideal is if we can add on, you know, maybe another 2 or 3 destinations, or at least have a roving crew that just spends 3 months here, 3 months there, showcasing you individual subspecies and beautiful areas. So that's what I would really love to do. That's on my wish list that I keep begging the big boss Graham to make a plan, to organize. He says it's on the list of things to do. Imagine having final control in a big 4x4 Unimog truck, and you can just set up anywhere you like. You've got a tech vehicle with a big satellite on the roof that follows the safari vehicle around, and then you can send a broadcast from anywhere. Of course, these things all cost monies, and we need to gather a bit more of that before we start getting any more projects underway. But we certainly are all heading in the right direction to be able to explore new safari destinations, and it's all to do with a lot of your guys' help. If we didn't have you guys telling your friends about Safari Live and following our daily action, then it would be tricky to convince people to allow us to do these wonderful things that we do. So keep spreading the word and keep supporting us. We are gratefully, we are exceptionally grateful for that. I wonder if we should maybe, I was wondering if we should reposition the vehicle, but let's stay here for a bit. Let them snooze in peace. Miss Cupcake, you would like to know, why are cheetah not as good at climbing trees as the other cats? For 2 main reasons. Their leg bones are fused together in a slightly different way to lion and leopard, which basically makes the bottom half of their legs more rigid, which works well for the incredible speeds that they maneuver at. But it doesn't assist with climbing and or kind of pouncing. So if you think of lion and leopard, they're more kind of a pouncy predator with regards to their attack, whereas cheetah come sprinting in. And that slightly difference in their anatomy is one thing, and then the other main difference is that the cheetah have got very different claws to lion and leopard. Their claws are not sheathed and protracted when they need to latch onto something or climb a tree. They're more like the claws of a dog, always just poking out, not very sharp, and cannot be sheathed away for safekeeping. So I guess those 2 differences in their anatomy are the main things that make their climbing skills not as good as the leopard and the lion. We've had some really funny sightings of cheetah going up and down trees in the last few months. What I found fascinating is they like doing what I like to call the vertical poop. And they hop up onto a tree and kind of latch on awkwardly, and then so their body's completely vertical, and then they poo like that. So that's quite interesting. It's something I never realized they liked doing. I knew they liked leaving their parcels elevated, so sometimes in the fork of a tree or on a little random cement signpost or any elevated structure, a termite mound. But they also like being elevated themselves when depositing their parcels. Sandra, you would like to know if there's anywhere I've been that I wouldn't like to go back to. Whew. Let me think. I can't really think of anywhere that's really let me down that much. Trying to rack my memory. So yeah, no, there's no wilderness that I've gone to and really had a terrible time. If I remember one though that I did, I will I will tell you. But I can't think of any off the top of my head. And it's interesting, you'll find some people love the Masai Mara and other people will dislike it and much prefer the sands. So it's like anything in life, us humans all have our own different trends and tastes, and some people like heavy metal music. I don't, but for all of those of you who do, no hard feelings. There's just so many different genres and types of experiences you can have in any wilderness that you'll find they cater for everyone in one way or another. I think in the coming years, though, countries like Kenya and Tanzania that have got unfenced reserves are going to start being some tourists that go back disheartened and possibly disgruntled by their experiences out here, because there's a huge amount of pressure from surrounding communities, and you find a lot of the time people are actually bringing their livestock into reserves. And if I came on holiday to a reserve and I found a whole bunch of cows walking around my tent, I would not be in a good mood. And sadly, that is a reality, and it is happening more and more in Kenya. So I wonder what the future years will hold for this country and its wilderness destinations, because I think it's fair to say they're not nearly as safe and sustainably kept as some of the South African parks. I must be careful what I say here, but it is... I don't want to give anybody the right idea or talk negatively about anything, but there is reality to what is going on out here. Hello, Super Jedin. I like the way you think. You would love to see Safari Live doing some safaris in Yellowstone National Park. And fear not, Graham, our big boss, was recently on a tour through Yellowstone National Park, and he had only the most incredible things to say about it, so I'm sure he has added that to his wish list. He's got a long list of places and ideas where he would like to take all of us on safari. And we just need to give him the support and a bit of time to make all these plans happen. But I too would also love to explore some of the American wilderness areas, Yellowstone definitely being one of them. Andy, you'd like to know if I've been to Yellowstone or Alaska, and no, sadly I've been to neither of those incredible wilderness areas. The kind of most wild part of America that I've been able to spend a little bit of time was in Colorado. So we flew to Denver and then rented a car and drove on a left-hand drive for the first time, and that was interesting. And we drove from Denver all the way to Aspen. Well, it's not that far. I think it's about 4 or 5 hours. And along the way, we drove through some beautiful, beautiful kind of wilderness areas. There was an area where they said there were some bison, but we didn't see any. But there were some signs, I remember, I think, on the side of the road saying that there were bison that you could spot from the road if you were lucky. But no, I haven't done much in the way of safaris in America. Spent a little bit of time there in Fort Lauderdale, scrubbing a yacht when I just left high school. 3 of us sharing a double bed. We were living quite rough at that stage. Three friends sharing a double bed in a very cheap motel called the Relax Inn. And when you had when you had to sleep in the middle, the bed only came with 2 pillows, and obviously there were 3 heads. So when you had to sleep on the middle night, we did 1 night rotations. You would just roll up a towel as your pillow. So that was my first taste of America in Fort Lauderdale, and then I was only there for about a month, scrubbing the yacht, and then headed back to South Africa for a while, and did the next trip to Aspen, and did a 3-month ski season. It was a very, very wonderful time of my life, exploring Aspen and being in snow for the first time. It's an incredibly beautiful place. Dos Santos, you suggesting we should come up to Canada and seek out some polar bears? Another wonderful idea. I mean, I could think of nothing better than going on a safari in the search of polar bears. Imagine. Whew. What would also be cool is if we managed to get them digging out of their winter hibernations. A mother with her brand new fur balls that are seeing the sun and the world for the first time. Ooh. It's possible. People film it. It's been filmed. It just hasn't been done live yet. So hopefully we can be the ones that do that. Dos Santos, we'll get a hold of you when we need some contacts in Canada. But for now, start looking for people with helicopters. They're useful to have for getting us from A to B. Still waiting for a job application. I did mention that we were hiring a helicopter pilot. You just have to provide us with a helicopter and then you've got the job. Hi Debbie, you'd like to know if the Sabi Sands or the Mara has got better birding. Well, I think in general, wherever you go in the Sabi Sands, you're going to have the chance of seeing a variety of different birds. Whereas here you'd have to be kind of more specifically looking for birds in the thicker riparian forests along the riverbeds or up on the Olololo escarpment. There are certain areas along the Sand River, so there are certain areas where certainly the birding can be great, but when you're driving through these big open grassy plains, there's not much bird life. So I would say possibly the Sabi Sands. I'm guessing there's more species that you can see in the sands than you can see here, but maybe I'm wrong. Certainly I've had some wonderful birding here, but it's very sporadic, and you go for long periods where you don't see too many birds or just many of the same ones. Okay, well, I think we must take you guys for a closer look at these cheetah and see what's going on. Get a bit of a closer assessment of the situation. Ooh, Maritza. You suggesting that we need to get ourselves involved in another kind of a migration involving monarch butterflies in Mexico? Imagine that. Imagine Manu and his hot air balloon floating amongst the butterflies. Yeah, I mean, there are so many incredible things happening on our planet, not just in Africa, and not just above the land. A lot of incredible stuff happens underwater. And like I say, it's just a matter of time and your continued support, and all these things will become possible with the way technology is developing. We're going to be allowed to do more and more, better and better, and the way we as a company are growing, it's also certainly heading towards good things, or better things, because it's already good. Well, we're just relaxing here, and we may have to adopt their same plans once we say goodbye to you in the next 5 or so minutes. And it's quite nice just snoozing when the cheetah snooze. Only catches, we don't have our alarm clock synchronized, so you kind of have to sleep with one eye open, otherwise you don't know when they're going to get up. Larry, you would like us to take you guys to the Okavango Delta next. It would be a great place to do a live safari. We could do some from the Makoros, those dugout canoes. We'll get some great panning shots just floating down the rivers. Also incredible bird life there and some great big game viewing. They've kind of got good everything there regarding the big cats. Really good leopard in some areas, good lion, lots of buffalo hunting lion there. You do get cheetah and also very, very good wild dog viewing. And that is an animal that we haven't really been able to document hunting as well as, at least I would like to. Kind of getting there, but tricky in the Sabi sands because of the thick vegetation. So somewhere a little bit more open, and you do get some wonderful open areas in the delta, we would be able to get you guys some crazy wild dog action. So girls, what are your plans? Are you going to make us wait until late this evening? Hello Stanley Cubed, hope you are well. You are interested in knowing rather what would happen if a pack of wolves were dropped off in Africa and set loose on a pack of wild dogs. Well, if it was 10 wolves on 10 wild dogs, the wild dogs wouldn't stand a chance. I don't think. Wolves are just so much bigger than the wild dogs. I'd guess at least 2 or 3 times the size, armed with all the same abilities. So it would kind of be like a fight between lion and leopard. They're very similar beasts. It's just their size sets them apart, and size matters out here. So unless it was, one unlucky wolf against 5 wild dogs, I think equally matched, the wolves would come out on top. So, I wonder Manu, how long are we going to commit to them here? I think we might commit to another hour or 2, maybe longer depending on how they behave. But we may end up spending a bit longer than planned. Sadly, the chef forgot to put any meat on our sandwiches this morning. It was just tomato and cheese. So feeling a little bit under-proteined at this stage. And we've run out of our special nut mix. We had 1 kilo of nuts, maybe even more. But those got polished off quite quickly, so we're down to our final rations. So hunger may override our ability to stay with these cheetahs as long as we like to. But we will be here for at least some points in time trying to increase our chances of seeing them on the move. And if you don't already follow us on Safari Live's Facebook page, I would strongly urge you to do so, because that is where the notifications pop up as and when we go live in between the regular safaris. Hi Christy, you'd like to know if female cheetahs are stronger than the males or vice versa. The males are bigger and stronger than the females, but interestingly, and I'm still not 100% sure that this is fact, but I remember one of you guys, and sadly I can't remember who it was, did some research and came out with the fact that female cheetah were faster than males, which could well be possible. Ooh, let's have a look behind you. I mean, I don't think anything's going to happen, but you never know. Turn your head around, Cheetah. Mana was saying we need some signs that say, like a picture of a reedbuck, and we hold it up for the cheetah with an arrow, so we can all point them in the direction of their prey. That was one of the discussions we had yesterday while sitting, waiting patiently. You see, now we need the turn your head around sign. Look the other way. Are young and quite bold, so maybe they will have a go at it if they in fact look at it. I thought I saw some warthogs off in the distance. That would also be an interesting one for them to chase. There's quite a few piglets around, but it was in fact a few stumps, of tree stumps, not warthogs, so it was a bit of a false alarm there. Well, I hope you guys have all enjoyed the sunrise safari. I think the highlight for most of you would have been that black mamba. Sounded like an absolutely fascinating sighting, and I'm glad Noel got a good snake sighting in the bank, because they are few and far between. And a massive thanks to everyone involved, all the girls in the final control room, our technical wizards that are always slaving away to make sure the picture somehow ends up from our vehicle with you. Looking forward to the next adventure. Keep sure to log on to Facebook between the drives.